Welcome to Ladies Talking Leafs. I'm Chris.
And I'm Syl.
And did you miss us? Hopefully you did.
We missed you.
We missed you. Yes. Yeah.
It feels like a long time. This January has been the
does.
longest January of my life, I think.
Yes. Most likely because of our lovely All-Star break and our bye week and everything.
Yes,
But
dog days of hockey season for sure.
thankfully it's all done.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we had, at least the weather's not so bad in Toronto. So that's a good thing. And we can, so anyhow, we wanted to just let you know the results from our holiday special question,
Dun,
which
dun, dun, dun.
nobody answered. And we have to say it is mostly our fault because as we listened to the podcast again, we noticed that we did not actually say our handle, our Instagram handle or our Twitter handle. So it's at LTL1917. In case you don't know that, I'm sure most of you, well, everybody's busy, obviously, but yeah, you can search it up as well when you type in "Ladies Talking Leafs." It's going to come up. But yeah, but we should tell you what the answer is. What was the answer, Phil?
Of course, the best gift any Maple Leaf fan could ever get would be a Stanley Cup.
Yes, and
So
we had
the answer.
we had a picture of the Stanley Cup on Instagram, and yeah, so hopefully, right now we're not even in the playoffs, so, but the Maple, as a Maple Leaf fan, that's what we always dream of that, but
For sure.
yeah. So, and we did actually do a Twitter poll too. I know I'm not sure how many followers on Twitter, but get on, if you're on Instagram, get on Twitter too and follow us there at LTL1917. And because we want to start engaging with you guys more and getting more feedback and
Absolutely.
and stuff. Yeah. And you can email us too. ladiestalkingleafs@gmail.com. So yeah.
I look forward to hearing from you all.
Yes, because we need, we're thinking of all the programming right now. So, but if you guys have any, I guess, topics too, like we'd be more than happy to consider it. But for now, we have lots to talk about. And we're going to start with our lovely All-Star game since we started with that, I guess, originally. So, Syl, did you watch the All-Star game?
I did. I had to work, and man, I had a hard time finding a feed to watch it on because for whatever reason, my Sportsnet Now account just crapped out that day. I don't know why, or it could be something that they changed at work. Who knows? Anyways, it's not like I'm not paying attention to my work, by the way. I just kind of have it on in the background if anyone's wondering. So that was for the skills competition and the actual All-Star game I did watch. So that was cool. But I really wanted to watch the skills competition.
Yeah, that's what I watched mostly. Yeah. I didn't watch too much of the game, but the skills competition was cool. Really thought Freddie Anderson with his mask and how he got the design of Matthews and Marner on there with him.
Yeah, I thought that was touching. It's so funny because Freddie is so such a stoic kind of guy. He doesn't show like a lot of big emotion, but you could tell just from those little things that he did, that and his new pads and all of that. Yeah. It obviously meant a whole lot to him. And it was really special for him. And so the fact that he had that special mask and stuff made up, I thought that was really touching. And I think that was touching for Matthews and Marner. I don't think they knew about it at all.
Yeah, which I thought was, I think Matthews, I think he thought Marner knew about it.
Yeah.
But both of them seemed to be like really surprised. They like obviously loved
amigos.
It. Yeah. Yes, which is what the picture we put on Instagram, Twitter, whatever, we did it all sort of thing, right? Because it was exciting to have the 3 Maple Leafs there, right? But yeah, and then...
I'm so stoked that Anderson's still using those pads. That made me so happy.
Yes, yeah.
Anyways, that's like a bit of a superstition thing. I honestly thought that in the 3-on-3 final, that he was the better goalie of the two of them between him and Vasilevsky.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. He's... Obviously, it's an all-star game, right?
Don't want to get too crazy about
it. But he, at least, maybe it got him a little bit more playing with all those other star players from other teams, and that it I think it helped him anyways to know that he's on that level too. He's finally being recognized.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well deserved.
The other thing I guess that I liked watching too was on the red carpet, like to see the whole the boys in their outfits and that, right?
Yeah.
And the whole Ron Burgundy thing with us. I really wish he would get rid of that mustache, but he's not going to, I guess.
I
He
don't
seems
know.
to like it.
You know what? He has, you got to give the guy props because he has his own style 100%. And he seems very comfortable. Like even in the summer, I don't know if you remember when Marlo came to visit him and then there was that shot he was wearing this like tie-dye shirt and shorts and flip-flops with socks
on.
I'm like, wow. But you know what? He's comfortable in his own skin. So give the guy credit for that.
Yeah. No, he's definitely getting his own brand or style out there, sort of thing.
Yeah,
so that's
no,
good.
You gotta like it. And I think that he doesn't
care
if people talk about it, you know, in a negative or positive way. It doesn't matter to him.
Yeah, I don't know what Mitch was wearing. It was some sort of, he had like some, on the vest part of the suit, he had some sort of pattern. I wasn't too fond of it, but I liked Freddie the best out of the three. He was more the...
But, you know, it's what his usual style, I guess.
Yeah, I really should have got a Frederick Anderson jersey.
There's still always time.
Yes, I keep trying to win one, but it never works out. But anyways, okay, let's go to the more. That was All-Star weekend.
So moving on.
Let's go on to our team now.
So now we got to get back to reality.
And we're finally getting back to the games. We're out of the playoffs, like we mentioned earlier. Right now, we're still, I think we're tied right now with Florida, but they have 2 games in hand on us.
Still,
yeah,
and with that extra week that we gave them to catch up.
Yeah, they have 2 games in hand now because we played the 2 games versus Nashville and then Dallas, which we won, thankfully. But overall, January wasn't really a great month for us.
No, it was I think a little bit of after the honeymoon period, some growing pains were had.
So we went 5-3-2 in the last 10 games. And so the end of December, we lost Muzzin to the broken foot. And then, of course, Riley went down too with a broken foot.
Yeah, we get one person back and then one person drops. So that basically...
We have not had the full... This is like total opposite to last season. We've not had the full lineup at all. So, but yeah. And then we had the horrible loss to the Panthers. That was like a joke. And then once Riley got injured, then obviously we brought up Sandin, who's been a really good, obviously Rasmus Sandin, not Sundin. Oh my God, that's going to be horrible, I think, for all the Leaf fans to Leafs Nation to actually pronounce this guy's name and not say Sundin. But he's played really well again.
He's got something special about him for sure.
Yeah. But there always seems to be this thing about the defense. I don't know. I think it's been forever since like the 80s. We've been maybe even the 70s.
I remember when my dad used to say, Todd Gill, how the heck did he get on this team? He used to say, does he know somebody? Is he like a relative of someone? Why is he even on this team? So but you know, he did turn his game around. So Todd, you know, we still love you. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, because...
it's a never-ending theme with this team, no matter how far back you go.
Yeah, no, everybody is on top of the world now just in these last couple of games with Nashville and Dallas.
Well, one thing I would say, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. One thing I would say about that is that I remember in, you know, breaks past, we don't always come out of the gate, you know,
that's right.
Really on all
it's
cylinders.
Always a dud.
And we really did that these past 2 games. I would say that these have been the best 2 games that we've seen in probably about a good month.
We're in a totally different position than before. Like we like in previous years, we basically knew we were going to be in the playoffs, and so now like they got to be ready. Like right away, they had to be ready. So, but going back to Sandin, I mean, I know back in the original few games when he was brought up under Mike Babcock, like it was that game we were at in Detroit where he got hammered by Justin Abdelkader, and Mike Babcock was like, oh wow, like we can't be putting the kid in that like type of situation. Right. So he got rocked a couple of times in Dallas.
That was a pretty bad one. That actually was like a pretty dirty hit.
Yeah. But he seems to be jumping right back up again, sort of thing.
Well,
right? You don't want it happening, obviously, but
I do think Keefe somebody asked him about that, and Keefe basically said that the type of game he has and how mobile he is, he tends to kind of roll off of those things, sort of in the similar way that Mitch Marner is kind of like that too. It's really hard to hit him squarely full on.
Well, that was a joke.
Because they kind of roll off, but
not to be too specific in the game, but I thought it was hilarious when Jamie Benn actually went after Mitch Marner. He gave him a shot in the like with his fist glove sort of thing, right? I'm like, who are you? Like Jamie Benn, I like him as a player too. Like he's a tough guy. Like
I mean, in that same game, like he could have taken Muzzin out and basically ended his season last night as well. So he didn't do that.
Yeah,
but
I just think Sandin, going back to him, like Matthews and Marner, they both love, like normally he's on when they're on that line, and like they just love him, like how he has the vision to get the puck back up to the forwards.
It kind of reminds me a little bit about, remember when Mitch first started and people were just kind of, and they're asking JVR and Bozak about him all the time because he was playing with them.
Yes, yeah.
And the same sort of kind of accolades about some of the stuff that he does that's so special and makes him so fun to play with. Yeah. It's kind of reminiscent of that. Sort of talk.
So he's been playing really well, and considering he's basically supposed to be, I guess, replacing Riley, which is quite a handful to. Yeah. And hopefully with him, I heard actually yesterday that it's for his timeline as to when to come back. Like they did say, I think it was 8 weeks. Yeah, or 8 weeks. I think because it's like close to the end of March, basically, to come back. But it was kind of like very tentative. They said it was very odd the way he said it was apparently Riley said this himself. It was a sensitive date is how he worded to say what. So I don't know what everybody's reading into that to say, okay,
what does that mean?
What does that mean?
That's very cryptic language.
Yes. And as to how he's going to be when he comes back, because we all know that he was injured with something else. He was playing injured basically. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see when he comes back. I mean, because he can't skate now with the broken foot. What kind of like condition he's going to be in? Like,
he'll probably get sent down to the AHL to play with the Marlies, like Muzzin did.
Like Muzzin did, yeah. That was funny.
Anyway, it could be a blessing in disguise because a break, it's like it's a bone. It will heal. It'll heal stronger. It depends what kind of bone he broke because there's lots of small little bones in the ankle area. So who knows? But it should give him time to kind of really heal up the other nagging thing that was bothering him.
Yes. Hopefully. Yeah.
So it could be a blessing.
But this defense, moving on with the defense too, to this Travis Dermott, I just want to mention a little bit about him because this is his contract year too. He's going into the contract year. And I don't know, I just think like the plans that we had for him, like with Gardner, with Jake gone, like he was basically supposed to take the next step. I know that in this season, I guess having the shoulder injury, but you just don't really notice him out there or when he.
Well, I do.
Like you do. Last night I didn't notice him too much. I didn't even know if he was playing.
I don't think that's always a bad thing when you don't notice a defenseman. Yeah, mind you.
But I don't know that he's really done as much as what they want.
I think, okay, obviously we're not players.
No.
And I don't think you can discount, especially if you're a defenseman who's going to have to get their body in there sometimes, more so than maybe a forward, especially a forward like Matthews, because I'm just comparing them because both of them have had shoulder injuries. I'm not sure that it's that easy. And missing the beginning. I mean, we saw what that did to Willie last year, missing training camp. That was obviously not an injury situation. Yeah. But I think every person's different. So we don't know like how much having that structure of training camp and everything leading up to it, how that can affect a person going forward. I think every person is different as to how they're going to react to it. And they're young guys. If this is like their first major, first major experience with an injury, that could have effects. And like even, for example, Marner, being out at the beginning, even though he barely missed anything, like he didn't have a great start either. Yes, and it wasn't until he got his injury and he was able to kind of, forget about the contract thing and then focus on coming back from the injury, shift in focus, and he came back stronger after that. So I don't know.
To me, it's like the way I've worded it, I guess, is like this makeshift defense that Kyle Dubas and I guess Lou Lamoriello partially, I don't know, have kind of created here for Mike Babcock and then now Sheldon Keefe to work with. And then there's this Tyson Barrie.
Well, Tyson Barrie is the thing for me. It's like
this is going to be, I'm sorry.
Talk about contract year.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't.
This is the thing, though. You got to look at it sometimes this way: is that if these guys are not performing as well as up to their potential, I once had an amazing stats prof at school who gave sports analogies, which I loved.
Right.
And there's always a regression to the mean. So there's a baseline that a player is going to play, and chances are they're going to have a really bad season. And chances are they're going to have a really incredible season. And everyone will always assume that when they have that incredible season, that is their new baseline. That's not necessarily the case. However, I will say this with these guys, if they're having a bad year, that doesn't necessarily mean that is their base. Okay.
Right.
Number one. Yeah. Number two, contract year. That bodes well for us that they're having not a great year right before their contract, because that's part of their comparables now. So they've got their baseline and a lower, not necessarily a higher to compare to. So for somebody like Tyson Barrie, he's somebody that we could maybe get on a 1 year, again, cheaper deal. If he doesn't, I don't necessarily want that. So I'm going to qualify that.
I don't think he's going to do it anyways. I think he's gone personally. I don't think he's not going to. I think he wants.
Go ahead.
I think he might want to go. Yeah.
I don't think we really need him.
Yeah.
He hasn't added any kind of special impact or any. It's just his skill set for whatever reason has not really meshed.
Team. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why. And
well, I think part of the reason is because he was one of the people who really generated a lot of offense in Colorado. Yeah. But we have
but now the thing is with Riley being out, this is the thing
that you would step up.
He'd take over basically. Yeah. This is his opportunity to be that one. Because I don't like that pairing with Riley, and because they both don't know. We've talked about this before on the podcast that they don't know when to go. Like they each want to go on the offense. But I still like it
better than than the Riley CC combo.
Oh yeah, well anybody but. Not nice to say, but anybody but Cody CC. I don't know.
He's actually playing within his limits now. So since we got Keefe, he's been better.
Yes. Yeah.
So, true. I mean, I'm still not saying he's been good, but he's been better. He's playing within himself, which is fine. But as far as Dermott goes, I mean, he is young. Yeah. There's still opportunity for him to grow.
Yes. Yeah. But with Barrie, I mean, with me, I actually heard too, like the Kerfoot, Alexander Kerfoot changing from the defense here a little bit, but he was mentioned as possibility for trade as well. I thought to myself, could you imagine he gets traded, which it really wouldn't bother me depending on what they get. Yeah. But I mean, you really haven't noticed Alexander Kerfoot too much. He's good, and
no, I
that's
think
fine.
He's good. I think
he's playing that role, the third line role.
Yeah, and he also is. You can use him in different things.
Yeah, so that's good. But then if he goes and then Barrie goes, it's like, who did you get for Nazem Kadri?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Well, okay, except that
oh my God.
This whole thing with looking like this, hanging on to this Kadri thing, at some point,
because I am hanging on. I think
at some point we have to move on. But the problem is with this whole Kadri situation is you can't view these things in a vacuum, because first of all, if Kadri was still here, he would potentially, you change one variable and maybe Babcock is still our coach. And then Babcock is still using him the way he used him last year, which was not to the best of his ability.
Right, yeah.
And not really adding all the things that he's adding to Colorado. You can't just look at him in Colorado and think that would be him here. That's not necessarily the case.
Yeah.
So do you know what I mean? Like there's so many, there's so many things that would not be the way they are now if Nazem Kadri was still on our team.
Yes, that's very true, yeah.
So you can't look at these things in a vacuum.
On a positive, though. So I'll just say on a positive, Tyson Barrie has had 4 points in his last, 4 points in the last 4 games. Yes. Mm-hmm. And so at least he is playing a little bit better, but they still, what I don't get is, I guess under Sheldon Keefe too, like a couple of times Cece was like jumping into the offensive and getting
wonder.
Like you gotta wonder, like,
should all of them be doing that?
Yeah, it's like
maybe not.
No, that's not their style. Like, Jake Muzzin, like he knows like when to do that because I mean he played with the LA Kings. He's a Stanley Cup winner, so you don't really need to tell him sort of thing, right? I mean he might get caught a couple of times, but that's not because. But a guy like Cece, no. And then even Justin Hall has been good, and you really noticed actually while Muzzin was away or off with the broken foot, you really noticed how Justin Hall, it affected his play, right? Like to say that he really, so it's good to have them back together again. Yeah,
I agree.
Okay, let's move on from our lovely defense. We've done our little rant about that, and let's talk about Freddie for a while. I don't know.
Yay, Freddie!
Yay, Freddie!
Yay, Freddie! Boo, Freddie!
But I mean,
kind of had an iffy month, but
yeah, that's what everybody's. I don't know. That's what everybody's keeps talking about. But to me, when you give up so many like point blank chances,
which I will say they did not do these last two games.
No, he did. No.
He was not overworked these last two games.
No, he wasn't. But I don't know. I personally think it's more about the team, what we just discussed, the whole defense thing, and the forwards not helping the defense as well, because you see that I guess like. It's about the style of play, I guess, that Keefe has them playing and whether or not.
Well, is it though? Because was it that much different last year? No,
it wasn't, because Babcock was trying to get them to play and they wouldn't play a defensive style, right?
Well,
like to get the defensive, because one thing that was interesting that I heard from Freddie too, he's such a low key guy. It's just, it's just so funny. I like watching. He's so serious and just like, he just doesn't want to be bothered, right? But it's just like, leave me alone. I just want to play goal for the Maple Leafs, but it never works out that way. Goaltending is such a, it's such a, in Toronto anyways, it's such a big, I don't know what the word is. Like
integral part.
No, just like
passion.
Yeah, like everybody focuses on it anyways. But he said in one of the horrible games, I think it was the Florida game, the Panthers lost, that he said that, we have to learn, or we have to be more supportive of each other. When we support each other, meaning the whole thing from the goaltender on out. And I don't know that with Keefe's style.
That's bull, Christine.
That's bull?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it doesn't matter if you are playing for yourself, regardless of what style you play, you're never going to fully play as a team. And that's what it boils down to, is forgetting about the name, on the back of your shirt,
right,
and playing for the logo in the front. And that comes back down to maybe another thing that we're going to discuss later, but that's what he's getting at. It's got to be that team first mentality and really supporting each other on the ice.
Yeah, I think it's to me too, with Keefe. I mean, Keefe's only been since, I guess, end of November, right? Yeah. That's, I mean, it's still, I think, a work in progress. What he's trying to deliver as a message sort of thing. And he wasn't pleased after that horrible, that game in Florida.
Yeah, that was a disgrace.
And then obviously the game against Chicago as well at home against the Blackhawks.
I actually think that it's to a coach's advantage to have some disgraces, because things were clicking along so nicely, and they were racking up the wins and the points, and
But we talked about too is the level of competition too. I mean, they were playing the Detroits and the Rangers, and I don't know who else they had that were not so great in December.
But that's what I mean. Like at some point, you need to have a wake up call.
Yeah. And so they started playing better, and even that game versus Edmonton versus the Oilers at home, that was crap as well. That they and the whole McDavid thing on Riley. Poor Riley is going to be on highlight reels forever now because of that. And so I don't know. I think, like I said, it's still a work in progress, and the fact that Keefe called them immature. That was quite an interesting word to use. And
I thought it was an interesting word, but also it's very, very apropos.
Yeah, very telling after that Florida game and the Chicago game.
Well, some of these guys were kind of anointed, in more ways than one.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that are going to be looked to. And I think we all know who they are.
Yeah.
As the people that are going to set the tone. And either you're taking it completely seriously or you're not.
Yeah. And that brings us just basically to this whole leadership group,
Right.
I think, right? Like, so John Tavares, he's, to me, I don't know, people are saying like he's not playing well now the last little while. And I'm like,
That's actually not true.
I mean, I don't think William Nylander would be getting the opportunities that he's getting.
Damn straight you wouldn't be.
Yeah. Like without the work that John Tavares does at
Yeah.
center. Like, because we've said this before too, when he was on with the Islanders, he was always the guy making the other players better, basically.
Which isn't to say that it's all him, obviously not. But especially if you've got an ultra talented person like Willie or like Mitch, he is definitely one of those guys that is going to bring out the best in someone, in anybody really, but especially someone who is so talented. I mean, like, think about how many years were we talking about Matt Sundin and we can't find anyone to play with him.
Right. Yeah. It was his whole career, basically.
That's not the case with John Tavares.
Yeah. No, exactly. And I mean, he had the abdominal injury, I don't know what it was, in the summertime that he had to basically, he got into training camp fine, but I mean, he had that to deal with. Then he broke the finger. Then he had the baby. And it's just like,
there's a lot. Now, okay, a lot of people will say, well, so sad, too bad. You're a professional.
Yes.
So you got to get with the program. However, he's still with the program, and he's doing the best he can. Like, I remember my dad used to always say this, because my dad's a huge tennis fan. I'm sure I've told you this story before, but every time one of his favorite tennis players would get married, he'd say, "Oh, it's over. That's it. They're done."
And it's the same thing when you have a kid.
So
there's the second point. It's done. Wait, you got to give them a few years because they'll get the better sleep in a couple of years.
And and even though he has the support here, obviously, with his family and stuff, don't preclude that doesn't also put pressure, to be around, and obviously he's so in love with his baby. So who is going to, give him the gears for that?
So
part?
I mean, it is his first year as captain. So, I mean, I think there is the leadership core there too with Matthews, Marner, and we'll stick Willie in there, and Freddie, obviously, too. And
Riley.
And Riley, yes. And Muzzin. Jake Muzzin being the only one that has won a Stanley Cup on our team, right?
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, actually, somebody did say too with Muzzin, like the way he said at the beginning of the year, when it was under Babcock in October, and people were panicking because that's what Leafs Nation does after every, like now, for example, the last 2 games is everything's wonderful in Leafland because we've won out of the break. And then if we lose to the Senators on the first of the month,
the walls will come crumbling
then it's
down.
like, oh my God, what's wrong, sort of thing. That's just the way it is here. But Muzzin said like take it easy, people. Let's.
I agree. There has to be some patience, and you need to allow people to grow.
Yeah. So,
and that's never a straight trajectory. Okay. There's ups and downs. It's like the stock market. Like, you got to be invested for the long term, and there's going to be ups and downs. If you're going to sell your stock every time there's a little bit of a dive, then you're never going to make money. So same thing with these guys. You got to give them those little dips and valleys, because that is where you learn what you're made out of.
Yeah. But I mean, Keefe, with this leadership group or core, Keefe has given them like little perks here and there, like going to Florida, giving them the extra day, and then they came out and they basically had that.
Blew it.
Yeah, they were not there, basically.
Oh,
right?
Again, like, that's more fuel for him. When you're giving them stuff and they're basically taking it and not giving back a little bit too. Yeah.
You just kind of wonder these younger guys, though, like Nylander. I'm not going to put Mitch in there because Mitch is, yes, he's part of the leadership group, but he's from here, so he knows what it is to be a Leaf. But I don't know. I read something a little bit off the topic. It's more related to Kobe Bryant. The recent passing of Kobe Bryant, and And there was his general manager and a famous LA Laker. His name was Jerry West. And he was on ESPN radio. I was listening to him, and he was just saying something that, he would always talk to players, Kobe Bryant in this case, like just to keep them focused, basically. Not like he was mentioning that players in the NBA today, for example, they're down 20 points and let's say in the third or fourth quarter, and they're like laughing on the bench and having a good time. Obviously, we know NBA is totally different culture and atmosphere at their games as opposed to NHL players. We don't see NHL players like laughing on the bench when they're down 3-0 or something like that, right? Everybody's down and that kind of thing. But
that's also not good when you hang your head too much.
Yes, yeah. But he was just saying, when they do that, and when you're given, let's just say in this particular case where they're given the day off in Florida the day before to go enjoy themselves or do whatever they want to do, like it's a disrespect to the game and to the fans. The fans pay a lot of money to see them, they fly down to Florida. I mean, Leafs Nation is everywhere, and they go and see their team, and for them to put out a performance like that, it's disrespectful to the game and to the fans.
100%.
And he said he would basically, when that happened, because there were cases, very few, when he was the manager of the LA Lakers, but he's like, I would talk to Kobe if there were certain things that when that happened, he would talk to them. And I don't know, these players, I don't think some of them, they need to win a playoff round, basically, I think, to see how this city, how important this team is to the city. They know how important it is in some ways. I just don't think they get it totally. I don't know.
Well, for sure. Like they could see what happened with the Raptors and kind of be like, oh, I wonder what would happen. But until it actually happens, for sure, they wouldn't necessarily really know. But I do think that even though there's certain guys that obviously aren't from here, like Austin, that maybe we wonder whether he gets it. But I mean, do you see his little Q&A thing? Like when they asked him, what's the best thing about being an NHL player? He said playing in Toronto. So I think he somewhat gets it.
Yes, he does that way because and that's why I think in 5 years when his contract is up, like I don't think it's an automatic that he's going to Arizona, that he's going to because he's
not unless they're poised to win a cup. I mean, like let's not kid ourselves here. If we weren't, turning a corner as well, JT wouldn't be here either.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, because look, Stamkos turned it down. Guess why? Because we were finishing 30th. He wasn't able to project a vision necessarily to make him change his mind. So
yeah. All right. So let's get on to the trade deadline, though.
Yeah,
it's a little over 3 weeks away, February 24th.
Right.
And we're not. Let's just say we're not insiders.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not gonna.
Yeah, but we do have strong opinions.
Yes, yeah, that's true. But I was listening. I mean, that's what all the media is going to be. All the sports media is going to be talking about now. It's going to
start getting pretty crazy.
Now, I guess the name. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, mid-January, I think everybody was talking about the backup goalie, and it's this Georgiev guy that now is the second coming of Carey Price because they want Kapanen for him or something like that.
Which is ridiculous.
Which is crazy. And then now it's Matt Dumba from the Minnesota.
Which also I think is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, if you there's actually a really good tweet by I think Bill Como, might have been somebody else. Anyway, somebody, I can't remember who. I'm sorry, whoever you are. But it was an amazing tweet that really broke down all the players, including a couple of RD, and how many points per amount of games they've played in the NHL.
Yeah.
And Matt Dumba is not the second coming of anything, and he comes with a $6 million cap hit.
Yeah.
So unless Minnesota, who, first of all, I don't really think wants to get rid of him.
No, I don't think so either.
And unless they are going to eat some of his salary, like a lot of it, I'm sorry, I don't even see, like, to me, that says that they're not signing Riley.
Right.
First of all.
Yeah.
And he is pretty much a kind of a Barry style player. So maybe with a little bit more grit, I don't know.
He's a little bit more on the defensive side,
but not much.
But I don't think
he's not that different.
They don't have, because they got to think about signing Freddie too, right?
Exactly.
So there's a lot of things that go into it when making a deal like that. So I don't know.
And honestly, for me, I mean, that would be the kind of deal that would have to be a bigger deal. So that would involve roster players for sure.
Yeah,
But for something like that Georgiev,
Yeah.
I can't even. I'm gonna trip over my tongue. If we're giving a roster player for that, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, he's a good goalie, but I don't think.
Well, for a dedeadline
not for
deal
that,
of
yeah.
somebody, and I don't think he has much term, if any.
So which position do you think Kyle Dubas should deal for, basically, if they were to deal? Do you think they should get the depth defenseman, or should they get the backup goalie, regardless of who it is, whatever? I even heard too Johnny Burns, which is hilarious. Jonathan Bernier, just for that to come back.
He couldn't play here before under the scrutiny, so why?
Yeah. So, but which position do you think would be the? Which one are you taking to say that we should do? And then we'll move on to another topic because
which one?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. That's a toughie. I think if you're going to do like a rental type thing, then maybe it should be a backup goalie where we don't have to give up much, like a pick or something.
Which we don't have any picks anyways.
Well, not first rounder. Or
second round.
But if
we actually don't pick until the 6th round this year.
Wow. Okay, so we're screwed there.
I found that, so we have no picks this year. So
then if it's going to be a prospect,
yeah.
which that's obviously what it's going to have to be, so
yes.
like maybe Bracco or somebody like that,
yeah.
Then it better be something a little more substantial than just, expiring deal or something like that.
I'm going with the goalie. I think he should go with the goalie because if
they've got to spell Freddie.
If Freddie gets hurt, we're
then
screwed. Like, I'm sorry. He could have played garbage this whole month, which he hasn't, in my opinion. But, I mean, he hasn't played great up to his miraculous stuff. But
he had a little bit of a low.
But if he is out, we're done.
Oh, for sure.
That's what I think.
100%.
Yeah. So, let's move on to something fun.
Yeah.
It's On the Road with Chris and Syl. Yes. We're bringing it back. Part 2, or episode 2 of that.
Episode 2.
Yes, because we did Detroit.
Our second segment.
And then we thought, after we finished our last month's podcast, we thought, we may not get another opportunity this year this season to do another road trip review. So, and they just played in Nashville. And
thankfully we have been there, so we can tell you all about it.
Yes. Yeah, that was a fun one.
First of all, definitely it is right up at the top of our list for amazing places to go.
Yeah, and so if you have a chance to do it. And I mean, it's great because when you get there, like from the airport, I would say it was like 20, 25 minutes, something like that with the cab. And so it was. And
we basically stayed. Unfortunately, we'd like to give a plug to the hotel, but we don't remember what brand it was 100%. It was probably like a Holiday Inn or Best Western.
And it's not because we were hanging out on Broadway all night long or at Tootsie's.
That's not why we don't remember.
Or at Tootsie's or...
But it was well located.
Or hanging out with Keith Urban, maybe.
It was, I do remember it was kind of on the, far side. So like south of, I don't know if it's south, but on the opposite side of Tennessee Titans Stadium.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
So
the
basically, you kind of had to come around that into basically the foot of Broadway.
Yeah, and they had like a shuttle from their hotel to the airport. Yeah. So if you want to save
into town, so and it had that Broadway shuttle, so it would drop you right at the foot of Broadway.
Yeah, and then you could just walk from there. It's not that far, like to go like right up the street. There is Broadway.
Very, very highly walkable town.
Yeah, that's what.
Walk everywhere. It's not that big. That's the thing that kind of floored me, is because you're used to going to a bigger city like Chicago, whatever, and there
in the States you always think it's very big, compact.
It's got this bit of a small town feel somehow, and it must be sort of the country roots as well, I think. But it's very warm. It's very accessible. It's very welcoming. I just really loved it for that part of it.
And it's definitely worth it to do the hop on, hop off
for sure.
There, right, just
you
to
get the tour of the basically all the sites and all the music studios, and you get to see who's like recording there, and
of course I don't know what the name of the studio was, but I always wanted to go to Memphis and to see
Graceland.
yeah, Graceland, but
Because you're a huge Elvis fan.
Elvis.
She's a huge Elvis
Yes,
fan.
I love
people.
Elvis. But anyways, we saw the studio where we didn't go in. We didn't have time. But we saw the studio where he recorded Are You Lonesome Tonight? And that brings chills. It was so good to see it. Anyways, I'd go back definitely. Like that's even something where you'd want to go back because of the music.
Oh yeah, like if you are a fan
Yes.
of sports and music,
Yeah, spend another
the
extra
history
yeah,
that's there.
Spend a couple extra days there.
Yeah, because if you go to we went to the original Grand Ole Opry,
Yes.
where they have it's like a little museum inside, and where they basically filmed all the Hee Haw episodes and stuff, and a certain generation might remember those, and
And then
all
we
of
went
that
and then we went to the new
the
new
new
one,
one.
which definitely leave yourself some time. It's about 45 minutes.
Yeah,
outside.
and there's a big hotel there
Yeah.
now and a huge outlet mall as well. So
Yeah.
if you like shopping, and we both bought like some really cute Nashville cowboy boots there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, there's definitely a lot to do there too. So it's worth it to go out there, even if it's like 45 minutes to an hour. And if you're staying extra time, rent a car then. And we took a cab because we were there mainly for the game, and we kind of just left ourselves a day to kind of explore.
Remember when our shuttle driver told us about that new thing called Uber?
Yes, yeah.
It was a little while ago that we were there, but apparently Uber was new at the time, and he was driving part-time for Uber. It's kind of funny looking back on that now.
Yeah. And then the food is fabulous there. There's barbecue. We had barbecue, and we found this. We didn't know that they had these famous cookies there, but
Yeah, they have basically their own very famous Tennessee confections.
Yeah,
there.
Yeah, and anyways, we found this store. I think it's called the Goo Goo store, Goo Goo candy store. If you look it up online, it's
and they
there.
make them fresh right in front of you.
Yeah,
there.
and they gave you a sample too,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I remember that too. Yeah, so that's something to check out if you go to Nashville. And then the game day experience. I mean, we haven't even gotten to that, but the game day experience, the arena is like it's right across from the Grand Ole Opry, basically.
It's
It's just down the street.
Basically very central.
Yeah, so it's great that way. And we went for dinner in the arena at the Platinum Club, Patron Platinum Club is what it's called, where they had a buffet dinner, and it was good. It had everything, and it was good because like you basically just walk right into the into the arena for the games, or so that was good. And and then it was funny.
They all obviously they have their quirky things that they only do in Nashville.
Yes, yeah.
So the "Hey, you suck."
Yes, yeah.
When they score,
you can hear
on
it sometimes on TV, like.
But
we
when
heard
you're
it,
there
but
and
it's
everyone's
different.
yelling, oh my God, it's so loud.
Yes,
first of all.
Yeah. Of course, we were there during when this was the Diomphina Phil Kessel era
Right.
when we went there, right? But
and
all
Nashville
this
was really good at that time.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, the other thing that was funny, the thing that I noticed the most was when we went to their store.
Yeah,
it's a large store, but everything was yellow. It was just like your eyes were hurting because of the yellow, right? But it
not
was
a nice yellow.
It's not a nice yellow, but
it's like honeybee yellow.
Yeah. But the fans were, really good. It was funny.
And they're friendly too.
Yeah, some of them, they said to us,
even though they're kind of nasty when they yell at you, hey, you suck, and da-da-da-da.
The fans, they actually, somebody told us there, I remember they said that they had some before they actually got a team in Nashville, for people that applied to be season seat holders, they had like some sort of hockey course.
Yeah, so that's right.
Yeah, remember that when I forget who was telling us that, but they had a hockey course, and like almost all these people that applied to be season seat holders, they went to this course. Like they had over the demand and we thought that was kind of cool anyways. And then also the I guess during the game too, where they
with the announcer
guy, Bob, they yell out if the next time, well, it won't be this year, it'll be next year, I guess, with Nashville. Yeah, at the end of the period, like the guy announces last minute of play in the period, and then right after that, all the fans yell out,
"Thank you, Bob."
Which is just crazy. So there's little quirks. It's fun, right? It's a different atmosphere, and but yeah, so we really had a good time, and I think we'll definitely I'd go back
I'd
again.
go back there again. Even like not even for hockey, just like I kind of always like to treat our little road trips like this as like a taste of.
Yeah.
And
And
so
go back
it's it gives you an idea of like where you'd like to go back, what you'd like to see more of. I mean, obviously there's also the famous bars like Tootsie's and stuff, which, you know, there's people playing country music at all hours of the day. There's live music constantly at almost any bar you go to, day or night. That's pretty great. And also it's if you are into celebrity sightings, it's quite accessible for that as well, because there's a lot of celebrities that live in Nashville, whether they're actors or singers, and people just leave them alone. So, you know, kind of like downtown Toronto.
And we went in February. It was just around the same time. It was a little bit later, and I guess it was like second week of February that we went, and it was cool weather, but it wasn't like you needed a coat, definitely, but it wasn't.
Although I think that it was a little bit unusually cold because they had a little bit of snow, which they don't normally get.
So, but no, definitely we highly recommend it. And and if you have any questions on it, you can send us an email too. So, and
we're happy to give you some details.
If you want
to go.
So looking ahead now into February, and basically we have 13 games in 25 days, which is it's like almost every other night we're playing. Must-win games are the Habs, the Sens, the Rangers, and what was the other one? The Sabres. We have those 4 games in February, along with Florida and Tampa, which obviously, needless to say, are critical. We got to beat Florida, like the Panthers. Like we have to
I would
win.
hope that after the shellacking that we took from them, that we show up this next game and kind of give back to them.
The Tampa game is going to be a tough one, obviously, and they've been on a real roll there. But I mean, we gotta grab points from them. We haven't played them. We only have the one game in February, and then we play them again in March a couple of times, I think. But yeah, so hopefully February will be better than January, and we'll be talking about the Leafs being inside the playoffs, I guess.
Hopefully.
Not looking outside, but looking outside, I guess. But being on the inside of the playoffs the next time we talk.
Yeah. Although I would say, you know, it's not bad for them to have some of this adversity. I always do feel that the teams that kind of have to scratch their way in tend to be the ones that do better, because they're kind of already in that mode, like everything's do or die. So we're going to see how they respond to this adversity.
We'll see what happens. So for now, we're going to say ciao, see you later, and go Leafs go!